Spectre 18 here, welcoming everybody back to a new episode of New Waylie, where we're building a futuristic city starting off with this elevated plaza in front of our train station. Now, if where we left off in the last video was without this plaza that we see here on the left. We already have the foundation here built because I had gone through a few streams already and I also just forgot to save some of those. But anything that happened in that first plaza we're going to see here anyway, because here I'm going to start the foundation for the second plaza. And basically how it works is what we're seeing here. This is a pedestrian path that is making out the shape of the plaza, the shape defined by the roads around it. But bordering the pedestrian path, we also have this concrete wall. Not only does that serve as sort of an extra barrier or kind of replacing the metal railing of the path, but it also covers up the elevated aspects of it, you know, like just the base of the path or whatever, and really just give it thickness so that it can be high in the sense without pillars. Like the wall stretches down from the bottom of the path all the way down to the road. Actually past it because the pedestrian path's wall piece has a defined height which cannot be changed. Now here I am actually remaking part of the concrete wall because I found it too troublesome to get it to work here at this angle, this vertex here. And this is the annoying thing, of course, about doing a lot of elevated stuff, is that even if it's elevated, like it's very difficult to get it up to the height you're actually working on, especially when you're working at such heights as I am now. So I just kind of have to give up and just let it go wherever it wants to go, and then as I'm doing right here, just bring it up to the correct height afterwards. Yeah, after doing this, I found that I was starting to worry that maybe this isn't going to work because I was wondering, like, should I make it a sharp corner as I am right here, or to make it curved? And I realized that by bringing in the nodes closer, I was able to get a really small curve. But it was very finicky because I'm working at such a small scale here. It was very finicky, very difficult to get a perfect curve that I needed. But eventually I made it work right there. So it looks like I went for a node at the corner after all. Which was the best thing for that particular corner since it was so sharp. But for most of the corners, which you can kind of see here, we'll see where the node is. It was actually best to have the nodes before the corner. So, like if you imagine the corner, right, the tip of the corner as a triangle, well then the bases of the triangle are the two nodes, and then the actual tip of the triangle is just a curve between those two nodes. So really two nodes for the corner, for the angle. Now here I sped this up really fast because this took way too long, but basically I was just trying to get this road to look good around the curve that I had already done. I had managed to get something decent, but I think I soon realized that, you know, maybe, you know, the road has to be done first. The roads they have bigger limits in place here. So that's what I'm doing here now. I went completely on top view and started thinking, what exactly is the design I want? Because the left side of the plaza is very angular, as you see, but the right side is going to have that huge swept slow curve. And I decided a way to bridge the two sides of this is to bend this little stretch of road that I was working on right now, and I got a shape that I really liked. And right now here I'm just showing off my hover bridge. You know, I just have it with no pillars or anything, and I put some of those. I think they're made by Langshao. I think it's Langshao's plasma pillars, or whatever. So it's like hover pillars. Now I sped this up really quick as well because there's no need to look through it again, but now that the road is in the perfect place, I'm just bringing the paths and the concrete wall flush with the road. Now that that's done, it's time to get the actual surface done, and that's a simple matter of just copying and pasting over the procedural objects I had used on the other side, and then just changing the shapes, of course, to get it to fill up the space nicely, and that's really all there is to it. Of course, this took a lot of time. It was one stream though, so there's not to say it was a ton of hours. Definitely less than 2 hours. But that gives us our two halves of our plaza pretty much done. and then just a random bridge right there to connect them. But that is it. So after this, it will. Oh, no, I just forgot about that. Just like it's done, it's done. I'm gonna try to make sure I remove the logo so you can see my reaction there in the webcam. But after this, it is time now to actually start detailing the plaza, actually placing planters and paths, and just figuring out what I'm going to do to actually make it look like a plaza or park. You can see there are already signs of that there. On the left side, there are some planters, and there's some red for the path, but we'll go into that in the coverage of the next stream, where we really start tackling that path. However, the path should be after, because I wasn't done with the surfaces in my mind. There are 3 gaps here, so I started making the middle one, but then something interesting happened. I'm bringing the nodes down to the right elevation, but I did them one by one, leaving this middle 1 or 2 high, and I was like, this is a pretty nice curve. So I decided to join it just to see what it looked like, and I really like the shape, because when you have roads or paths that come together to such such acute angles, they kind of bank and get distorted in a fun way like that. So I changed it to the pedestrian path right there, and I decided this is going to be a kind of sculpture, an artsy shaped sculpture. And as a base for it, it would be nice if it was over water. So I thought about putting canal in here. So this is a round canal. But later I tested it and found that it didn't work. It doesn't hold water. However, I decided to leave this part in the stream time that we're seeing here, because it will be there for quite a while. Then you saw me copy down the concrete walls because again, it has a defined height, so I needed to bring it down. I needed to copy it and paste it down to give me the extra height I needed. Then I was looking around how exactly the paths are going to be connected, and realized I wanted to have a path that connects from the train station, or well, from and to the train station and the plaza. So that's what I'm doing right here, and then just start curving the path and getting it flush with the road, as we see right here. And this wasn't, of course, that much of a big deal, just making sure that everything's nice and even and smooth at the same elevation. Although I had to bring it up a little bit here just to make sure it gets over the concrete wall. I didn't really want to have to mess with the concrete wall anyway. In retrospect, probably a good idea. I'm not really sure what else I would have done. At some point I had deleted that bridge, so I added it again following the curve. Now this part was pretty nasty though, because I'm using this, I believe it's a ploppable surface. I'm not too sure. Definitely not, or maybe a decal. No, I don't think it's a decal. Whatever it is, yeah, not a decal, because it's going past the path there. But I'm using a circular one to try to work with this curve, but it was so difficult because the nodes, it's really weird how the nodes work on these circular ones, and you'll see in just a little bit how some of the nodes that might be a little stretched out or whatever pull out only a little bit of the texture there. You can see it. See the whole lower right area. It's too stretched out. So I really had to find a way to balance all that and make it all fit, or even just cover it up again with some more square pieces as I am now. Finally got something to work, but this, along with what had happened before this stream, which we didn't see, which I didn't save the video of. Yeah, that was insane amount of time. Basically I spent at least 2 streams, maybe 3 streams, just working on this brick path I was working on here. And you see this is going right on the pedestrian path I had already placed here. So that's because that path was always meant to just be a placeholder. The idea was always this, to use procedural objects to make the actual path surface I wanted, and then I myself would detail, you know, the barrier or whatever kind of fencing I wanted to have, assuming I did decide to use such things. After all, this is a futuristic city, and I kind of like that Star Wars look where a lot of bridges like this have no barriers at all. And this is how the stream ends. I don't finish the path the whole way around, but I already get the hang of it and decide I'm not going to do a curved corner that same way anymore. So we have our final look here. The next stream will be finishing that path, which will not be worth showing again in the video, and instead we'll start working on the actual park plaza detailing. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Come join in the stream. Fridays and Saturdays, noon GMT. But wherever you may be, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.